Chapter 1. The Beginning of an Idea. Welcome, my friend, and welcome to Inspiring English, the place where we don't just learn words, but discover the stories behind them. Stories that shaped our world, changed how we live, and continue to teach us powerful lessons about creativity, courage, and connection. Today, I want to take you back to a time before the world had YouTube. No viral videos, no funny cats, no music covers, no tutorials, and no motivational talks. If you wanted to share a video online, it was almost impossible. The internet was slow, complicated, and full of barriers. But somewhere in California, 3 young dreamers were about to change that forever. Their names were Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim. 3 ordinary people with extraordinary curiosity. They were not famous, they were not rich, and they didn't even know if their idea would work. But what they had was something stronger than money: vision. At that time, in the early 2000s, the internet was still young. Most people used it for emails, chatting, or reading news. Watching videos online felt like science fiction. If you wanted to send a clip to a friend, you had to shrink it, zip it, attach it to an email, and pray it would open on the other side. It was frustrating, messy, and slow. Even for tech experts like them, employees at PayPal, a company known for online payments, the process was a nightmare. One night in early 2004, after a small dinner party, they found themselves talking about this problem. They had all seen the same struggle. People wanted to share their moments, funny, sad, inspiring, but there was no place to do it easily. Someone said, "Why isn't there a simple website where you can just upload a video and share the link?" And in that casual question, history began to move. Sometimes, the biggest revolutions start quietly, not with fireworks, not with crowds cheering, but with a conversation between friends who believe they can make something better. That night, in a small apartment filled with leftover pizza boxes and laptops, the idea was born. Chad, the designer, had a gift for simplicity. He believed design should be invisible, that good technology should feel effortless. Steve, the engineer, loved to build things. He enjoyed challenges that most people found impossible. And Jawed, the thinker, loved observing people. He noticed patterns, emotions, and the way technology could connect hearts. Together, they decided to take a leap of faith. They left their stable jobs at PayPal, a risky move for anyone at that time. But they couldn't stop thinking about the idea that had entered their minds: an online video sharing website. A place for everyone. Not just big companies or filmmakers, but anyone with a camera and a story to tell. They rented a small space. Some say it was a garage. Others say it was an apartment. But one thing is certain: it was tiny. Just a few desks, a slow computer, and 3 restless minds full of dreams. The air smelled of coffee and code. They would stay up late, surrounded by cables and empty mugs, writing line after line of programming language, trying to make their idea come alive. The early days were hard. They faced constant crashes, endless bugs, and server problems. Sometimes, the whole website would go down for hours. But they didn't stop, because behind every failure, they saw a clearer version of what it could become, a place where anyone, anywhere, could upload their voice to the world. As they built the first prototype, they realized something magical. Videos were not just files, they were emotions. They were moments of laughter, pain, curiosity, and love, frozen in time, waiting to be shared. And if they could make sharing easy, they wouldn't just create a website, they would create a community. The domain name YouTube.com was registered on February 14, 2005, Valentine's Day. How fitting, a day about sharing love. And that's what YouTube became, a way to share what you love with the world. But in 2004, they didn't know that yet. They just kept working, testing, and dreaming. Friends would visit their workspace and ask, "Do you really think people will watch videos online?" And Chad would smile, quietly replying, "Yes, because people love stories, and videos are stories." There were nights when they doubted everything. Sometimes the code broke right before launch. Sometimes they had no money to pay for better servers. Sometimes they wondered if anyone would even care. But every time doubt appeared, they remembered the frustration of that dinner night, the moment they couldn't share a simple video, and they used that frustration as fuel. They spent days studying how people use the internet. They wanted the process to be so simple that even a child could upload a video without fear or confusion. Click, upload, done. That was their dream. Jawed, the most reflective one, once said, "The internet should be about people, not companies. Everyone should have a voice." That idea would later define the soul of YouTube. As the project slowly came to life, they tested it with small clips, short videos of pets, music, and everyday life. They laughed at how basic everything looked, but there was something pure about it, raw, honest, human. And then came the moment that made everything real. The first upload. But before that happened, there was something deeper growing inside them, a belief that the internet could be more than just technology. It could be humanity, digitized. Every person could have their own stage. Every story could find an audience. Every dream could find a home. They often worked in silence, except for the clicking of keyboards and the low hum of computers. Outside, the world went on, unaware that a revolution was being written line by line. Sometimes, they would take breaks, sit outside under the cool California night, and talk about the future. What if one day, people use this site to learn anything, music, language, science? What if people share their art, their voice, their ideas? What if this changes everything? And then Chad said something simple. If we build it with love and purpose, people will feel it. They called it YouTube. You, the individual, and tube, the slang for television. In other words, your TV. A place where you could broadcast your world. The name felt right. It was friendly, personal, and full of possibility. And so, the adventure truly began. In that small garage, surrounded by hope, caffeine, and code. 3 young dreamers turned a question into a revolution. They didn't set out to become millionaires. They didn't know that one day, billions of people would use their creation daily. They just wanted to make something simple, something human. That's the beauty of beginnings. They rarely look grand. They often start as whispers, as what-ifs, as late-night conversations that refuse to fade away. And sometimes, those whispers become the loudest voices in history. So when you think of YouTube today, The endless videos, the laughter, the lessons, the music, the memories. Remember this. It all began with 3 people who couldn't share a video after dinner. That small problem turned into one of the biggest ideas of our time. And that's how chapter 1 of this story, The Beginning of an Idea, began. A story of frustration turned into creativity. A story of vision turned into a global voice. A story that reminds us that sometimes the simplest question can change the world. Welcome to YouTube's beginning, and welcome to the power of ideas, because you never know which one will become your story next. Chapter 2. The first video. At first, everything was simple. There was only a small website with a clean white background and a red logo that said YouTube. No ads, no channels, no fancy features, just a dream, waiting for its first breath of life. The 3 founders had worked for months, writing code, fixing bugs, and wondering if anyone would ever use their creation. The website felt empty, like a big white wall waiting for its first mark. They needed something, one simple video that would start it all. And that moment came on April 23, 2005. It was a bright, sunny day in San Diego. One of the founders, Jawed Karim, went to a zoo with his friends. He stood in front of the elephant enclosure, wearing a casual jacket, looking calm but curious. His friend held the camera, a simple digital one. Nothing special. The background was noisy, full of people and animal sounds. Jawed looked into the lens and said the words that would become part of internet history. All right, so here we are at the zoo. The cool thing about these guys is that they have really, really long trunks. And that's pretty much all there is to say. That was it. Just 18 seconds. No music, no editing, no script. It was raw, natural, real. But in that short moment, something powerful was born. It was not just a video. It was the beginning of a new way for humans to communicate. For the first time, anyone could create something, upload it, and share it with the world. There was no television crew, no permission, no big company controlling what you could say. It was pure freedom. When Jawed uploaded Me at the Zoo that night, the website finally felt alive. The blank screen had its first heartbeat. He didn't know it yet, but that small video would open the door to billions of others. It was a spark that started a fire. In the following days, the 3 founders kept refreshing the page, watching the views rise, slowly at first, then faster. They were amazed. People they didn't know were visiting their website, clicking on that simple video, smiling at the awkward young man talking about elephants. It wasn't professional, but it was honest, and people loved that. Soon, something magical began to happen. People started asking, "Can I upload my own video too?" That question was the beginning of a revolution. Within weeks, users from around the world began to upload their own clips. Birthday parties, weddings, guitar covers, funny pets, and school projects. The website that once felt empty started filling with life, laughter, and voices from every corner of the planet. You could see a family in Japan singing karaoke, a teenager in America dancing in his room, a teacher in India explaining math, a traveler in Africa showing the sunset. The world was coming together, one video at a time. And the founders watched with awe. They had created something simple, but it had become something much greater than they ever imagined. They realized that YouTube wasn't just about technology. It was about people, about stories, about connection. The beauty of it all was how imperfect it was. Videos were shaky, blurry, sometimes poorly lit, but they were real. They carried human emotion, laughter, sadness, curiosity, hope. For the first time, people were not only watching content, they were making it. Every night, Chad, Steve, and Jawed would look at the growing number of uploads. The small website they had built in a garage was now alive with thousands of voices. And behind each video, there was a person, someone who wanted to share a piece of their world. The first months of YouTube were full of discovery. There were no influencers, no brand deals, no rules, just pure creativity. People made videos not for fame, but for fun, to share a moment, a thought, a laugh, and slowly, that fun turned into a movement in coffee shops, college dorms, and internet cafes. People whispered the same sentence with excitement. Have you seen that new site called YouTube? It spread like a secret between friends, one link at a time. Even the founders were surprised by how fast it grew. They watched as uploads doubled every week. The servers began to overload. Sometimes the site would crash, and they had to fix it overnight. But every time it came back online, there were more videos, more users, more stories. Jawed once said in an interview, "When I uploaded that first video, I just wanted to test if it worked. I didn't think anyone would care, but then I realized people wanted a voice." And that was the truth. People didn't just want to watch. They wanted to be seen. For the first time, ordinary people could stand in front of a camera and reach the entire world. You didn't need permission from a TV station. You didn't need a big studio. You just needed an idea and a connection. The idea spread faster than anyone expected. A teenager in Brazil uploaded his first guitar performance. A woman in France shared her travel diary. A man in Egypt showed his city streets. And every upload connected someone new, in another country, with another dream. The red play button became a symbol, a small triangle pointing forward, always forward. It wasn't just a button, it was an invitation. Press play, it said, and enter someone's story. Soon, YouTube became more than just a website. It became a mirror of the world, full of beauty, chaos, humor, and truth. You could learn, laugh, cry, or travel without leaving your chair. You could see a child's first steps in one video and a space rocket launch in the next. The world had never been so close, and it all started with one awkward boy standing in front of elephants, saying, "That's pretty cool. Think about that." A simple 18-second clip changed the course of digital history. It proved that creativity doesn't need perfection. It needs courage. It showed that greatness often starts small, with one person, one camera, one idea. In that short video, the world saw something new. The internet was no longer a place to just read or watch. It had become a place to express. And once that door was open, it could never be closed again. From that first upload, YouTube became a global stage, and as millions of people pressed record, they didn't just share videos, they shared their humanity. The story of Me at the Zoo is not just the story of one man and some elephants. It's the story of how a small moment of curiosity and playfulness unlocked a new era of communication. That first video whispered a message that still echoes today. You don't need to be famous to be heard. You don't need permission to create. You just need to begin. And that's what made YouTube unstoppable. From that simple upload, the world discovered a new voice, the voice of everyone. And as you'll see in the next chapter, that voice was about to grow louder than anyone could ever imagine. Chapter 3: Growth and Revolution. The little website that started in a small garage was no longer just an experiment. It in becoming something big, something alive. Every day, new people joined. Students shared funny moments from school. Teachers uploaded lessons to help their students learn. Musicians sang their hearts out in their bedrooms. Dreamers, travelers, and storytellers all found one place where they could belong: YouTube. By 2006, the website was exploding with energy. Millions of videos were being uploaded every single day. People laughed, cried, learned, and connected through moving pictures on a screen. For the first time in history, the internet felt human. You could see someone's face, hear their voice, feel their emotions, all with a click. The founders, Chad, Steve, and Jawed, could hardly believe what was happening. Their small idea was spreading across the world faster than they could keep up. They worked without sleep, fixing bugs, answering emails, adding new tools to handle the growing crowd. Sometimes the website crashed, and they had to stay up all night to bring it back online. But they didn't complain. They smiled through the exhaustion, because they knew something special was happening. The world was changing. Before YouTube, people had to wait for television to decide what stories were worth showing. But now, everyone had a chance. A teenager in a small village could sing a song and be heard in another continent. A teacher in a classroom could reach 1 million students. A child could learn math, English, or science without leaving home. It was not just a website anymore. It was a revolution of communication. Then, something unexpected happened. A knock on the door of destiny. One afternoon, the founders received a message from Google. The tech giant had noticed how fast YouTube was growing. They saw something powerful in it, a vision of the future. Google believed that video would become the heart of the internet, and YouTube was leading that future. After weeks of discussion, Google made an offer that changed everything. In November 2006, Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion in stock. The founders were shocked. Just 2 years earlier, they had been coding in a garage, eating pizza, wondering if anyone would ever use their website. Now, their creation was part of one of the biggest technology companies in the world. It was not just a sale, it was a symbol, a sign that a simple dream, born from frustration, could become a global force. The deal brought new hope, new tools, and new energy. With Google's support, YouTube could grow faster, reach more people, and fix its biggest problems. The servers became stronger, the video quality improved, and the website became more user-friendly. But what really made YouTube grow wasn't technology. It was people, the creators, those ordinary individuals who picked up a camera and dared to share their world. There were singers who uploaded covers of their favorite songs. Some of them later became international stars. There were comedians who made people laugh from their bedrooms. There were teachers who built entire online classrooms, helping students from Africa to Asia. There were travelers who captured sunsets, artists who shared tutorials, gamers who streamed their adventures, and people who simply wanted to say, "This is my life." YouTube had become a global stage where anyone could stand, speak, and be seen. And something beautiful happened. People began to earn money for their creativity. It started small, but it was revolutionary. You didn't need to work for a big company to make a living. All you needed was passion, a camera, and an internet connection. Soon, a new type of person was born, the creator. They weren't actors or celebrities. They were normal people who shared their talent, knowledge, and ideas, and the world listened. Millions subscribed, followed, and supported them. Teachers built channels that became virtual schools. Musicians found fans they could have never reached on traditional media. Small businesses advertised their products through short homemade videos. And people everywhere discovered a new habit, a phrase that would define the next decade. Just search it on YouTube. Need to fix a bike? Just search it. Want to cook a new dish? Just search it. Curious about space, art, or philosophy? Just search it. YouTube became the world's library of life. For the first time, knowledge was free. And it was visual, emotional, and alive. A student in Vietnam could learn guitar from a musician in Brazil. A farmer in India could watch how to grow better crops. A shy kid in Europe could find comfort in knowing they weren't alone. YouTube became more than entertainment. It became connection, compassion, and curiosity, all in one place. And as the platform grew, it began shaping cultures, trends, and even history itself. Videos could inspire protests, raise awareness, or heal broken hearts. One clip could make a person famous overnight. Another could unite people after tragedy. The world was changing faster than anyone could predict. But among all this noise, one truth remained. YouTube was never about fame. It was about freedom. The freedom to express, to create, to connect. A teenager from a small town could teach millions. A voice once hidden could now be heard. A story once untold could finally find an audience. The founders often reflected on what they had built. They knew it was no longer just a platform. It was a movement, a living, breathing organism powered by creativity. The red play button had become a symbol of hope, learning, and courage. Chad once said in an interview, "We just wanted to make it easy for people to share videos. But what people did with it, that was beyond imagination." And he was right. YouTube had grown from a simple question, why can't we share videos easily, into a universe of human stories. It gave people something they had never had before, a voice that could travel across borders, across languages, across cultures. As the number of users skyrocketed, YouTube began to influence everything: music, fashion, news, education, and even politics. It became the place where the world looked for truth, fun, and inspiration. From that point on, life would never be the same. The revolution was not fought with weapons or power, but with cameras, ideas, and courage. And in that revolution, YouTube became a mirror reflecting who we are: funny, messy, emotional, brilliant, human. What started in a garage had turned into a global movement. And yet, this was only the beginning, because once humanity learns to share its voice, it never goes silent again. The story of YouTube's growth is not just about technology, it's about all of us, our dreams, our creativity, our desire to connect. It's proof that even the smallest idea, born from a simple frustration, can grow into something that touches every corner of the world. So remember this: the next time you press play, you're not just watching a video, you're watching history, a history built by millions of people, one upload at a time. That's how a tiny website became a revolution. And in the next chapter, we'll see how that revolution began to teach the world something even bigger, not just how to watch, but how to live, learn, and believe. Chapter 4: Lessons from YouTube's Success. After years of growth, YouTube was no longer just a website filled with funny videos, music, and tutorials. It had become something much deeper: a global classroom, a place where the world came to learn, laugh, and find inspiration. Millions of people visited the site every day, not only to be entertained, but to discover, to connect, and to grow. From a small idea born in a garage, YouTube had transformed into one of the most powerful teachers on earth. But behind every success, there are lessons, quiet truths that guide the journey. And if we listen carefully, YouTube's story whispers wisdom not only for creators, but for anyone who wants to turn a dream into reality. The first lesson is simple but powerful. Start small. Every great thing begins with one tiny step, one small idea, one brave decision. Chad, Steve, and Jawed didn't have millions of dollars, fancy studios, or a big company behind them. They only had an idea and the courage to try. They didn't wait for perfect timing, perfect technology, or perfect conditions. They just began. Too many people wait for everything to be ready before they start. The right equipment, the right team, the right moment. But YouTube teaches us that the right moment is now. The world doesn't reward perfection, it rewards action. Because once you begin, momentum grows. The first video, me at the zoo, wasn't perfect, but it was real. It opened the door for millions of others to follow. The second lesson is, keep it simple. You don't need complex ideas or expensive tools to change the world. YouTube's design was simple: a box to upload, a button to play. Yet that simplicity made it powerful. The founders believed that technology should be easy enough for anyone to use. They didn't build walls, they built bridges. And that's true for life too. When you want to do something meaningful, don't make it too complicated. Just start with what you have. Speak simply. Act clearly. Focus on what matters, the heart of your idea. Simplicity is not weakness, it's clarity. The third lesson is, listen to people. YouTube didn't grow because it shouted the loudest. It grew because it listened. The founders watched how users interacted, what they liked, what frustrated them, what made them stay. Every update, every change, came from understanding what people truly needed. They noticed that people wanted to share longer videos, so they increased the upload limit. They saw that creators wanted to earn money, so they built the partner program. They realized that people loved interacting, so they added comments, subscriptions, and live chats. Listening built trust, and trust built community. In life, too, success comes not from talking, but from listening to others, to yourself, to the world. When you truly listen, you understand, and when you understand, you grow. The fourth lesson is perhaps the most important. Never stop evolving. From short clips to long documentaries, from 240p videos to 4K resolution, from simple uploads to live streams, YouTube never stopped changing. It adapted to new technology, new trends, new ways of thinking. When mobile phones became popular, YouTube redesigned itself for small screens. When creators wanted to go live, YouTube made it possible. When learners wanted subtitles, they added captions. The platform kept moving, growing, learning, just like the people who used it. That's a lesson for all of us. The world changes every day. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. If you want to stay alive, curious, and creative, you must keep learning, keep adjusting, keep improving. Success is not a destination, it's a journey. YouTube's story proves that growth doesn't come from being the biggest or the best. It comes from being adaptable. The ones who survive are not the strongest, but the ones who can change. But beyond these 4 lessons, there is something deeper, something that connects all of them. YouTube's real success is not measured in money or views. It's measured in the millions of hearts it has touched, in the knowledge it has shared, in the opportunities it has created for people who once felt unseen. A child who couldn't afford a teacher can now learn from thousands of free lessons online. A musician who was ignored by record labels can now reach fans across the world. A quiet person who once feared speaking can now inspire millions with their story. That is the real miracle of YouTube. It democratized voice. It gave everyone a stage. And that brings us to the next lesson. Believe in people. When you trust people, they create wonders. The founders of YouTube didn't try to control what people uploaded. They gave them freedom, and that freedom led to creativity, innovation, and community. The same is true in life. Whether you lead a team, teach students, or build something new, trust others. Give them space to express, to experiment, to grow. People shine when they are believed in. YouTube's growth also reminds us that success is not just about winning, it's about sharing. A video means nothing if no one sees it. A story means little if it's never told. YouTube became great because it celebrated sharing. Every view, every comment, every subscriber was a connection between 2 people, one who spoke and one who listened. We live in a time where connection is everything, and YouTube shows us how one simple act, sharing your truth, can change lives. So, what can we take from this story? Whether you are an English learner, a teacher, an artist, or simply a dreamer, YouTube's journey offers wisdom for you too. Start small. Don't wait for perfection. Begin with what you have. Keep it simple. Focus on what really matters: clarity and honesty. Listen deeply. Understand others before trying to be understood. Keep evolving. Grow with the world, not against it. And above all, believe in your own voice. Because that's what YouTube truly stands for: the power of voice, the power to say, "Here I am. This is my story. When you think about it, YouTube is not just a digital platform. It's a reflection of humanity, messy, beautiful, diverse, creative. Every click, every comment, every upload tells us something about who we are and what we dream of. So the next time you open YouTube, don't just see videos, see voices, see stories, see souls reaching out to be heard. And remember, every great success, whether it's a company, a language journey, or a personal goal, follows the same rhythm. Create, share, grow, step by step. Because that's what life is all about. Not rushing, not competing, just creating and evolving. One video, one lesson, one heartbeat at a time. YouTube didn't teach us just how to watch videos. It taught us how to believe in possibilities. It showed that the world becomes better when we share, learn, and lift each other up. And that's the greatest lesson of all. Chapter 5. Apply it to your life. YouTube's story is not only about technology, it's about people, about connection, creativity, and courage. It's about 3 friends who believed that sharing simple videos could bring the world closer together. And they were right. Because today, billions of people use YouTube not just to watch, but to learn, to create, and to connect. When we look back at how it all started, a small idea, a simple dream, we see something very human. You don't need to be a genius to change the world. You just need to begin. You just need to take the first small step, even when you don't know what will happen next. That is the true magic of YouTube's story. It teaches us that big dreams grow from tiny actions, and that courage matters more than perfection. So, what can you take from this story? There are 3 lessons, not only for English learners, not only for creators, but for anyone who wants to grow. First, share your voice. Don't wait until you're perfect. Don't wait until your accent is flawless, your camera is expensive, or your words are beautiful. Just start, speak, write, share, because your voice matters. When Chad, Steve, and Jawed created YouTube, they had no idea if people would care. When Jawed filmed that first video, me at the zoo, it was simple, even awkward. But he did it anyway. He shared something real, and that's what people love, honesty. The world doesn't need more perfection. It needs more authenticity. It needs your story, your experience, your heart. You never know who might need to hear what you have to say. Maybe your story will make someone smile. Maybe your voice will help someone believe in themselves again. So don't hide. Share your ideas, share your art, share your truth. Because when you share, something amazing happens. Connection. Every video, every post, every conversation becomes a bridge between hearts. That's how communities grow. That's how understanding spreads. Second, keep learning. Every video, every word, every mistake is a chance to grow. YouTube itself didn't become perfect overnight. It changed, improved, and evolved over time, just like you can. When you learn a new language, play an instrument, or start something new, remember that the process is never instant. It's slow, but beautiful. On YouTube, millions of people learn something new every single day. How to cook, how to fix a car, how to speak English, how to meditate, how to dream again. And that's the beauty of learning. It never ends. Learning isn't about knowing everything. It's about staying curious. When you stop learning, you stop growing. So use your curiosity. Watch, listen, ask questions, make mistakes, and try again. Every time you fail, you're still moving forward. You don't need a classroom to learn. The whole world is your classroom. And every video, every person, every story can be your teacher. When you learn something new, you're not just filling your brain with facts, you're expanding your heart, your perspective, your world. You become more open, more compassionate, more alive. Third, be kind online. The internet is a powerful tool. It can connect, inspire, and teach, but it can also hurt. Words can build bridges, or they can burn them. You have a choice. YouTube became great, not because of technology, but because of kindness, because people used it to share, to help, to teach. So when you go online, remember to be kind, leave a positive comment, encourage someone, thank a creator, help a learner. It takes only a few seconds to write something kind, but that kindness can last forever in someone's heart. Be the person who makes the internet a little brighter. You never know who's on the other side of the screen. Maybe someone who feels lost, someone who needs a little hope. And your words, your voice, could be the light they've been waiting for. Remember, Chad, Steve, and Jawed didn't know what would happen. They didn't have a map or a plan for success. They just believed in one simple thing, that their idea could help people. And maybe your idea can too. You don't have to create the next YouTube. Maybe your dream is smaller, or maybe it's even bigger. But whatever it is, start now. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let perfection delay you. The world needs what only you can give. Because your story, your energy, your way of seeing the world, it's unique. No one else can share it the way you can. You're not just learning English today. You're learning how to express yourself. You're learning how to connect with others. You're learning creativity, courage, and compassion. When you watch a YouTube video and understand the story, you're not only practicing listening, you're practicing empathy. When you repeat a new word or phrase, you're building discipline. When you share your thoughts in the comments, you're joining a global conversation. You are part of something much bigger than yourself, a world of learners, dreamers, and creators. And one day, maybe you'll tell your own story, not just of learning English, but of becoming confident, kind, and creative. Maybe you'll inspire others just as YouTube has inspired you. The next big story could start with you. Think about it. When YouTube began, it was just a simple website, but because people believed in it, it became a global movement. The same can happen in your life. Every idea, every effort, every small act of courage can create something extraordinary. So, here's the truth. You don't need to be the best to start. You just need to start to become your best. Be brave enough to post that first video. Be open enough to learn something new every day. Be kind enough to lift others as you grow. Because the more you share, the more you learn. The more you give, the more you receive. That's the hidden message of YouTube. Connection. When we connect, we grow stronger together. So let's make a promise today to keep creating, to keep learning, and to keep sharing our voices with love and purpose. The world doesn't need perfect people. It needs honest ones. It needs people who care, who try, who believe. Maybe your video won't get 1 million views, Maybe your message will reach just one person, but if that one person feels inspired, if that one heart feels seen, then you've already made a difference. So don't stop. Keep sharing, keep learning, keep being kind, because every voice matters, and your voice, yes, your voice, might just be the one that changes someone's world. That's what YouTube teaches us. That's what life teaches us. Dream, create, share, grow, step by step, word by word, heart to heart. And remember, your story isn't finished yet. It's only beginning. Thank you so much for watching Inspiring English. If this video inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and send it to someone who needs a little English motivation today. And of course, hit the bell icon so you never miss the next lesson that can change your English, and maybe even your life.